If you only skim the surface of history, it might seem like archaeologists and historians have everything neatly figured out. But in actuality, the past is full of gaps, contradictions, and straight-up mysteries. New discoveries are constantly rewriting what we thought we knew, and sometimes an artifact shows up that makes absolutely no sense. A tool that shouldn't exist in its era, a text no one can read, a relic that challenges everything in the history books. There's no denying that flashy, over-the-top artifacts grab attention, but history doesn't care about glitz. Sometimes it's the small, seemingly unremarkable finds, a worn-out manuscript, a lump of tar, even a lost board game that turns everything upside down. These 15 mind-blowing discoveries aren't just cool relics, they might just force us to rethink human history entirely. Let's start off with number 15, a 1,000-year-old medicine pouch. An ancient shaman's pouch reveals the roots of a powerful hallucinogenic tea. High in the Bolivian Andes, archaeologists unearthed a 1,000-year-old medicine bundle filled with mind-altering substances, including traces of ayahuasca, the psychedelic tea still used by indigenous cultures today. Buried 13,000 feet above sea level, the leather pouch contained plant remains that don't even grow at such high altitudes, hinting at a vast trading network or an extensive knowledge of plant gathering. Inside the bundle, researchers found wooden snuffing tubes, spatulas made from llama bone, and even a pouch stitched together from the snouts of 3 foxes. These weren't casual tools. They belonged to a shaman skilled in the art of plant-based psychedelics. Ayahuasca is known for its intense, otherworldly visions, but its ingredients can be toxic if mixed incorrectly. Whoever owned this bundle understood their craft well enough to safely prepare and use it. This discovery confirms that psychedelic rituals in South America go back at least a millennium, reshaping our understanding of ancient medicine and spiritual practices. Number 14. New text was discovered on blank Dead Sea Scrolls. For decades, scholars believed some Dead Sea Scroll fragments were completely blank, just scraps of parchment with no historical value. But cutting-edge multispectral imaging proved them wrong. Faint letters emerged, revealing missing pieces of ancient texts that had been invisible to the naked eye. King's College professor Joan Taylor described the find as like discovering puzzle pieces under the couch. Small but crucial to completing the bigger picture. One fragment may even be linked to the Book of Ezekiel, though further study is needed. The discovery stands in contrast to the recent wave of fake Dead Sea Scrolls exposed at the Museum of the Bible. Unlike those forgeries, these fragments were part of the original authentic Qumran trove. Their newfound text not only expands our understanding of biblical history, but also proves that even the most overlooked artifacts can still hold groundbreaking secrets, if we have the right tools to uncover them. Number 13, the Ishango bone. This prehistoric artifact could be humanity's first attempt at mathematics. Discovered in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the Ishango bone is a 20,000-year-old artifact that defies expectations. At first glance, it's just a simple animal bone, but look closer. It's covered in carefully carved tally marks. Some believe this could be the earliest example of mathematical notation, possibly used for counting, multiplication, or even astronomy. One set of marks appears to follow a doubling pattern, while others suggest prime numbers, a concept supposedly way ahead of its time. Was it a calendar? A tool for tracking the moon cycles? Something even more complex? Not everyone is convinced it's mathematical. Some argue it was just an elaborate tally stick for recording goods or events. But if it truly was used for advanced calculations, then prehistoric humans were way smarter than we ever gave them credit for. And that alone makes this artifact one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the Stone Age. Number 12, the Divja Babe Flute. This bone fragment could rewrite the history of music. In 1995, archaeologists in Slovenia uncovered what might be the oldest musical instrument ever found, a Neanderthal-made flute carved from a cave bear's femur. The artifact, known as the Divje Babe flute, has evenly spaced holes that resemble those found in modern wind instruments. If authentic, this would prove that Neanderthals, not just early humans, had musical abilities. But not everyone is buying it. Some scientists argue that the holes were caused by scavenger animals gnawing on the bone, not deliberate craftsmanship. Others point out that if it is a flute, it would mean Neanderthals had a sense of art, rhythm, and culture, something that goes against long-standing beliefs that only Homo sapiens created music. While debates rage on, one thing is certain. If this fragment really is a flute, then Neanderthals were far more advanced than we ever imagined. Number 11. The Minoan Snake Goddess. One of the most iconic artifacts from the Minoan civilization is the Snake Goddess figurine, a stunning faience sculpture found in the ruins of Knossos. She stands with bare breasts, a flowing skirt, and snakes coiled around her arms, exuding both power and mystery. But who was she? And what does she actually represent? For over a century, scholars have debated her significance. Was she a high priestess, a fertility symbol, or a goddess of nature and rebirth? Some even suggest she might be linked to shamanistic rituals. To make things even more complicated, the figurine was heavily restored by the archaeologist Arthur Evans, meaning some of its modern appearance might not even be accurate. Despite all the theories, no definitive answer has emerged. Until more evidence is uncovered, this enigmatic figurine remains one of the greatest mysteries of Minoan culture, a silent guardian of a lost civilization's secrets. Number 10. Mithras Liturgy Papyrus. A mystical papyrus describing a soul's journey to divine revelation, or something else entirely. Ancient Rome had its fair share of secretive cults, but few were as cryptic as the worship of Mithras. Primarily followed by soldiers, this underground religion involved mysterious initiation rites, cosmic symbolism, and secret gatherings, none of which were written down. But then, we got the Mithras Liturgy Papyrus. Dating between the 2nd and 4th centuries CE, this papyrus details a soul's journey through 7 celestial gates to achieve divine enlightenment. Sounds like a religious text, right? Well, here's the twist. Historians aren't even sure it has anything to do with Mithraism. Some say it's an actual guide for mystical experiences. Others believe it was just some ancient writer's creative storytelling. And a few skeptics argue that it has zero connection to Mithras at all. Bottom line, the Mithras liturgy raises more questions than answers, leaving us wondering just how much we actually know about this mysterious cult. Number 9. Nuragic bronze statuettes. These horned figurines could reveal the origins of a lost warrior people. Around 1200 BCE, the Mediterranean was in chaos. A mysterious confederation of seafaring warriors, known as the Sea Peoples, launched devastating raids on powerful civilizations. They struck Egypt, the Hittites, Ugarit, and Cyprus, leaving destruction in their wake. But while some of these groups have been identified, others remain a complete mystery, including the Shardien, a group depicted in Egyptian art wearing horned helmets. Here's where things get interesting. Ancient bronze statuettes from Sardinia show warriors wearing those same horned helmets. Could the Shardien have originated from Sardinia? Or did they flee to the island after their rampage across the Mediterranean? The Nora stone, an ancient Phoenician inscription, also refers to Sardinia as Shardan, further linking the Shardien to the island. But the truth? Still unknown. These nuragic figurines might hold the answer, but until more evidence surfaces, their origins remain a mystery. Number 8. A 146,000-year-old skull found in China. A well-preserved 146,000-year-old skull found near Harbin, China, might belong to an entirely new human species, one that could be closer to us than Neanderthals. Dubbed Homo longi, Dragon Man, the skull is massive, with a large brain case, almost square eye sockets, and flat cheekbones unlike any other known species. Originally discovered in 1933 but hidden away until 2018, the skull was finally examined by scientists, who concluded that it doesn't fit neatly into any existing category. Some experts argue that Dragon Man could be our long-lost closest relative, more closely linked to modern humans than even Neanderthals. If confirmed, this discovery reshapes the entire human family tree, suggesting that Homo sapiens may not have evolved alone. The presence of another intelligent species living alongside early humans raises new questions about interbreeding, migration, and what it truly means to be human. Number 7. A 299,000-year-old skull. For years, a hominin skull found in Zambia was thought to be 500,000 years old. But new dating techniques revealed a shocking truth. It's actually 299,000 years old, meaning it coexisted with early Homo sapiens. Belonging to Homo heidelbergensis, a species thought to be a distant ancestor of modern humans, this skull proves that multiple human species were walking the Earth at the same time. It also raises new questions. Did these groups interact? Did they interbreed? If so, what impact did that have on human evolution? The reanalysis was possible due to a thin mineral coating that had been mistakenly removed decades ago. Once recovered, it allowed for precise dating, proving that Homo heidelbergensis survived far longer than previously thought. This find reshapes our understanding of early humans, showing that evolution wasn't a straight line. It was a complex overlapping web of species fighting for survival. Number 6. Paintings of Punt. Tucked inside the tomb of Rekhmir, an Egyptian vizier from the 18th dynasty, are paintings that should have solved one of history's great mysteries. But instead, they deepened it. One mural shows exotic traders carrying ostrich eggs, myrrh trees, and rare animal skins, all labeled as goods from Punt, a place Egypt frequently traded with. But here's the kicker. Nobody knows where Punt was. Despite detailed records of gold, incense, and wild animals being shipped from Punt, the Egyptians never wrote down its exact location. Some scholars believe it was somewhere in the Horn of Africa, possibly modern-day Somalia or Eritrea. Others argue it could have been in Yemen or Oman. The paintings even show houses on stilts, adding another layer to the mystery. Was Punt a real place or a mythical land? Until archaeologists find solid proof, this forgotten civilization remains one of the greatest geographic puzzles of the ancient world. Number 5. Treaty between Muwatalli II and Alexandru. A 3,000-year-old treaty might mention a famous figure from the Iliad. In 1280 BCE, a diplomatic agreement was signed between Muwatalli II, the Hittite king, and Alexandru of Wilusa. At first glance, this might seem like just another ancient treaty, until you realize Wilusa is the Hittite name for Troy. And Alexandru? That name looks suspiciously like Alexandros, also known as Paris of Troy, the guy who, according to the Iliad, kicked off the Trojan War by stealing Helen. This clay tablet, written in cuneiform, mentions Alexandru receiving divine protection from a storm god named Apollonius, which sounds an awful lot like Apollo, the Trojan-aligned deity in the Iliad. So, was Alexandru the real Paris of Troy? Unfortunately, the timeline is off. This treaty predates the traditional Trojan War by about 50 years, and Alexandru was a king, not a prince. But what it does prove is that Troy was real, and maybe, just maybe, some parts of Homer's epic were based on historical events. Number 4. Phaistos disc. This clay disc from the enigmatic Minoans remains an unsolved mystery. The Minoan civilization is already one of history's biggest puzzles. We know they had elaborate palaces, stunning frescoes, and religious sites that hint at a highly developed culture. But one critical piece is missing: their language. To this day, no one has cracked Linear A, the mysterious script used by the Minoans. And just when things couldn't get more confusing, archaeologists unearthed something even more bizarre: the Phaistos disc. Discovered in a Minoan palace on Crete's southern coast, this fired clay disc is covered in an unknown script and arranged in a spiral from the outer edge to the center. It's not Linear A. It's not Linear B. It's something else entirely. Some believe it's a lost language, others think it's a hoax, and a few wild theories even suggest extraterrestrial origins. Whatever the truth is, the Phaistos disc is a mystery no one can crack. Number 3. Rongorongo texts. You've probably heard of Rapa Nui, aka Easter Island, because of its massive stone heads. But the real mystery of this remote island isn't its statues, it's the Rongorongo texts. Carved onto wooden objects between the 17th and 19th centuries, this undeciphered writing system could unlock the island's true history. The problem? No one knows how to read it. The symbols are written in Boustrophodon style, meaning they switch directions with every line, like a typewriter that resets itself. Some believe it records myths, genealogies, or sacred rituals, while others argue it's just decorative. A more unsettling theory is that the knowledge of how to read it was wiped out when the island's population was devastated by colonialism and slavery. Whatever these texts say, they might hold the key to understanding a civilization that we simply can't. Number 2. Knossos board game. Some archaeological mysteries hint at lost civilizations, ancient knowledge, or unsolved codes. This one? It's about a game that no one knows how to play. Found in the ruins of Knossos, Crete, Europe's oldest known city, this board game is a masterpiece. Made from ivory, gold, silver, and crystal, it's clearly something special. But here's the kicker: no one has a clue what the rules were. Discovered by Arthur Evans during his legendary excavations of Knossos, this beautifully crafted game board screams luxury. It must have been played by Minoan elites, but without any surviving instructions, it's impossible to know how it worked. Was it a game of strategy, like chess? A gambling game? Something ritualistic? We might never know. One thing's for sure: whatever game the Minoans were playing, we're all still losing. Number 1. The resurfaced Sumerian war monument. When historians uncovered a 4,500-year-old stone pillar in the British Museum's archives, they weren't just looking at an old relic. They were looking at one of the earliest records of war. This Sumerian monument, detailing a brutal conflict between the city-states of Lagash and Umma, gives us a glimpse into ancient Mesopotamian politics. But the best part? It's also the oldest known example of written sarcasm. Here's what went down. The king of Lagash not only documented his victory, he went out of his way to mock his enemies. He deliberately scratched out the names of Umma's gods, while making sure his own deity's name was clearly visible. This wasn't just a war memorial, it was a 4,500-year-old flex, proving that even in ancient times, rulers knew how to be petty. This rediscovered stele offers rare insight into early warfare, propaganda, and even humor, showing us that the art of trolling is way older than the internet. If you've enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.